Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to send a special hello out to the Swag Her Magazine community. I'm so happy to get a chance to chat with you all this evening. I'm so grateful for the opportunity presented by Swag Her Magazine. They are an establishment who highlight the wonderful things that happen in the community. So just to be a part is an honor. So let's start at the very beginning. You may not know who I am. My name is Jessica Canty. I am a life and career strategist. I have a passion for helping people move from unfulfilled jobs into their dream careers. I hate when they're frustrated at work. I want them to have joy and passion with everything they do. And I also want them to have that dream salary. So if that sounds like anything like you are in the right space. So let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I've had over 10 years of training and coaching experience helping people to move forward in their careers and in their dreams to make sure that when they get up on Monday morning, they're energized and excited about the work that they do. And welcome everybody that is coming in. I'm so excited to see you all here tonight. So if you see my eyes kind of dart over here, I got my notes because I got some goodies to share with you all this evening. So if you don't already, this is a great time to go grab a pen and piece of paper, or if you've got your laptop, or however you like to take notes, because this is going to be some good information. So you may have wondered, why is the title How to Tech and Recession Proof Your Resume? Well, let me tell you why. It's 2019 and technology and artificial intelligence are taking over the job market. People who have been in careers for 20, 30 years are being phased out and being replaced by artificial intelligence. I don't know if you guys remember, but remember that there was a time where there was no such thing as the automatic checkout line. There was a time where there wasn't an ATM. You had to actually go into the bank and talk to a teller. There was a time before where you actually had to go into a store, but now the internet allows you to shop at home. So many people's careers are being impacted by technology. One of my passions is social work, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And even social work and counseling are starting to be affected by technology. You can now get counseling via text message. You can get counseling over the internet on your phone. So many people are now being phased out of work. So I want to make sure that your resume keeps you in demand so that job offers are just flowing in for you and people are competing for your talents, ability, and gifts. The other part of that title is recession. Unfortunately, I don't know if you all have been watching the news, but in the news, they're saying that a recession is coming soon. And I'm old enough, maybe some of you are old enough to remember the recession that happened before. And it was brutal. People were trying to find higher paying jobs because the cost of living was increasing, but their salary wasn't. So you always want to prepare before the flood. I want to give you the tools and tips to prepare before technology takes over your job, before the recession says, you know what, we're going to have to decrease your salary. So let's jump into that conversation tonight. Whenever I teach a resume course, I always tell my participants, or I always tell my coachees, you have to remember the 3 T's. What are the 3 T's? They are your tools, transformation, and making sure that whatever you do is highlighting that transformation. So I'm sorry, y'all, let me turn down my music so you can hear me and not my music. Bear with me. So before I get in, I want to do a little call and response. I'm curious, how often do you think you should update your resume? So from those who are in there, how often do you think you should update your resume? How frequently should you update your resume? I'm looking to see if I see any answers. Do you know how many people, how often you should update your resume? Should do the Jeopardy music. Do 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 do. I don't see any answers just yet. So I'll tell you. You should update your resume every 6 months. So every 6 months, you should have some addition added to your resume. That means you have to be doing your diligence to increase your skills so that you can actually update what you put on your resume. Are you attending workshops? Are you going to trainings? Have you acquired a new certification? Have you tried on a new position in your job? Have you taken on additional responsibilities? That's very important. So every 6 months, you need to update your resume. So here's another question, call and response question. How long does the typical HR rep look at your resume? How long do you think they actually, when your resume comes across their desk and they're considering candidates for positions, how long do you think they're going to look at your resume? So give me some answers. Well, how long do you guys think someone will look at your resume? See if I got any questions. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So the question now is, how long does a typical HR representative look at your resume when they're considering candidates for a position? How long do you all think? Well, I'm going to tell you. The typical HR representative only looks at your resume for 30 seconds. So for less than the time I allowed you all to answer that question, that's how long the HR representative is actually going to look at your resume. So you have to have a stellar resume that's going to make you stand out, that's going to make them slow down, look at what you're offering, and consider calling you in for an interview. Because here's the thing, a resume is you on paper. It's your actual very first interview. And what they want to know is whether or not they should even spend time calling you in for a face-to-face interview. Hi, everyone that's joining. I'm so glad that you are here because we're sharing some valuable information about how to tech and recession-proof your resume. I just shared that HR representatives only spend about 30 seconds looking at your resume. So you've got to make sure that you've got the right resume in front of them so that they are willing to even call you in for that interview. So let's talk a little bit about those 3 T's. The first T that I wanted to share with you all are tools. A lot of people disqualify themselves from even being considered for a position because they're not using the correct resume. One, you have to have multiple resumes. Some people who are not obeying the rule of updating a resume every 6 months, they haven't updated their resume since 93. Their resume is 3 and 4 pages long, and that HR representatives are looking at it for 30 seconds. So they're not even allowing yourself to be present in the room because that resume is so long. So let's talk about the different types of resumes. And I want you, if you're in front of your computer, to pull up your resume so that you can kind of have it in line with what we're talking about tonight. So again, the first T in resume and being successful with your resume is your tools. Most people have what's called a chronological resume. Now that's the resume where they're going to tell you about what they've been doing for the past couple of years. They want to be able to tell you, this is what I've done. This is what I was doing from 2000 to 2003. And then from 2003 to 2007, I was doing this position. So it's just putting in sequential order the different job titles and tasks that they've done in the past. And for a lot of people, this is a great resume to use if you've had consistent work. So if you have like straight out of college, straight out of high school, straight out of grad school, if you've been consistently working, a chronological resume is great for you because you can tell them the breadth and body of your work just by them being able to look at the consistency over the years. So that chronological resume is great. But you've got to be really careful with this chronological resume Because when you are doing this chronological resume, you don't want to mention something that took place 20 years ago unless you're putting that in your summary section and you're saying that you've had over 20 years of resume, over 20 years of experience. A good rule of thumb is 10 years and under. So if you did a job back when Jerry curls were in style or back when platforms and afros were in style, we're not putting that on there. We'll just qualify it in your summary section to say, I've been doing this for 40 plus years, but I should not be putting my jobs from 40 years ago because again, I've got to shorten my resume down to 1 page. I got 30 seconds to shine and I don't want to waste any of my time. So that chronological resume can help you with that. Now, for some people, if you have gaps in your work, some people are a little bit nervous, or if you are only on a job for a little while and you don't want to put those dates on there, so you might be uncomfortable like that. So maybe you were only on a job for like 6 months. And it wasn't necessarily because of anything you did. You may have been laid off or the position may have been changed. And you want to make sure that you have an opportunity to explain that to an employer. I highly suggest you do a combination resume. As a matter of fact, combination resumes are my favorite. If I submit a resume to anybody now, it's a combination resume. What is a combination resume? A combination resume is where I combine the skills under the different titles that apply to the job I want to apply for. So you're not going to see the dates I worked those jobs. You're going to see the skills that I had from those jobs. So let's just say right now I'm a trainer and I'm a coach. So I'm going to have a combination resume that talks about my training experience. Then I'm going to have a heading that talks about my coaching experience. And in transformational language, I'm going to talk about all the skills I have as a trainer, all the skills I have as a coach. And then at the bottom, I'll put some information about my education, my volunteer experience, things of that nature. But then that gets you to focus on the skills, not necessarily how long I've done it. So let's say that you were a stay-at-home parent for some years and you wanted the opportunity to explain a gap in your work experience. You want an opportunity to be able to explain why there's some time in between things. I highly suggest that, especially like say you took a year off for sabbatical or you just had some fluctuations in jobs. A combination resume is your best friend. But I sprinkled a little something in there I want to highlight there. No matter what resume you use, I want you to use transformational language. I spent some time in HR and I had the opportunity to look at people's resumes. And one of the things I see people doing that I don't want you to do, don't get caught up in this, is that people will take from their old job descriptions, copy and paste it, and put that in their resume. And a lot of times that's task oriented. Jobs don't want to know that you know how to sweep the floor, but they want to know how did you revolutionize sweeping the floor? Were you able to reduce the time in cleaning buildings? Were you able to make that process go even smoother and accomplish goals? Did you change how buildings were perceived? Businesses were perceived differently. So they don't really care that you swept the floors, but what did you do to change the sweeping floor game? So how are you going to come in and sweep their floors and make sure their company is just at the top of the top when it comes to swept floors? So again, no matter what resume you're going to use, I'm going to go over a couple different more styles, but no matter what type of resume you use, do not use task-oriented language. Use transformational language. Like I pioneered a new sweeping floor method. I implemented sweeping floor methods that are still being used today. I created systems that changed my whole agency and its appearance. That sounds a lot better than I swept the floors. And what I want to point out with that is it doesn't matter what job you've had. Everybody can use transformational language. I don't care if You feel like, oh, all I did was flip burgers, or all I did was put the fries in the oil. No, what did you do? I sped up the process for customer service. I single-handedly ensured that customers only waited 10 seconds to get their meals. That's transformation, because anybody can do tasks. Again, we're going to set your resume apart from everybody else. Anybody can flip a burger, but can't nobody flip a burger like you. Can't nobody salt some fries like you. So you want to make sure that your language is transformational in language. So moving right along, we talked about the chronological resume. We talked about the combination resume. Now we're going to move on to your portfolio. Now, I really like this particular type of resume, the online portfolio. It can be sometimes like online/portfolio. I like this particular type of resume for those who need to showcase their work. Meaning, like, if you're an artist, or even teachers for that matter, you might want to showcase some of your lesson plans. I'm in a mastermind with some very skilled women, and some of their work will be portfolio work. Like one of the ladies who's joined us on the live this evening, she does event planning. So she might want to have an online portfolio of events that she's done. And the great thing is that this can be done for free or close to free. Instagram can be your online portfolio if you're going to keep it on brand and on point, because that chronologically shows all the different skills that you've had, all the transformations that you've been able to perform in that online space. So you really want to make sure that you do something like that, okay? Now, with the online resume, though, you have to treat it like it's an in-person resume. So you got to be really careful with this one. It has to be incredibly professional. We're not doing special effects with things swooping in and things like that. You want a professional headshot. Let's talk about that professional headshot. You want to make sure it's done in an attire that you would wear to the interview. You want to make sure this is not done in your car in the parking lot. This is not done at your kid's birthday party. You can simply put up a white sheet behind yourself. Have somebody take the picture for you. This is not a selfie. You want to make sure that that looks like a professional took the picture. Again, this can be low to no cost, because if you're searching for a new job, I don't want you to spend too much money. But you can do that very easily. And there's so many websites out there that will allow you to do an online resume and make it simple. But no matter how you do it, again, you want to put on that transformational language. Okay, so we talked about chronological, sequential order, the work experience you've had. Combination is under the titles of all the things that you've done. I'm a trainer. I'm a coach. So I'm going to pull trainer and coach experiences. And the great thing about that, I failed to mention that, is you can pull from everything that makes you you. One of the things I've noticed when I coach my clients is that people struggle with bragging on themselves. They downplay all the skills that it takes to do the work they do. Not everybody can do as excellent as you do. Not everybody can show up the way that you show up. And so you really want to make sure you don't sell yourself short. So it's interesting, because the position I'm in now, I got, based on all of my nonprofit work, all of my coaching work outside of that space, but I got the job. It didn't matter that I didn't get paid to do it before. I got the job based on that. I'm a Girl Scout leader. I've coached HBCU queens. I've written curriculum for HBCU leadership, and I put that on my resume under trainer, under coach. It didn't matter where I got it. All that matters is that I had the skills to show up. And I've been in this position for 4 years now. So that combination resume really allowed me to be able to highlight my skills there. And just as I'm saying this, I'm just curious from you all. I'm thinking about doing a workshop, taking you all through the different parts of your resume. Give me a thumbs up or a heart or whatever. Let me know if that's something that you think you might be interested in, where we can just kind of like a resume workshop. Let me know if that's what you all want to do. I can just walk you all through the different sections of your resume so we can clean it up and get you that dream job. Let me know. Well, I'm seeing some hearts. I'm loving it too. I really want to be able to do that with you all. Okay, so we talked about the online portfolio. This is great for hairdressers, cosmetologists, barbers, if you created a transformation that's just best seen in pictures, that online portfolio resume is best. Okay, I want to encourage you with that. The other resume I want you to consider is a CV. This one is a special one for those who've been published. So a CV is short for curriculum vitae. So what does that mean? It's Latin for course of life. So if you've been featured in magazines, if you've written a book, if you have an article in a scholarly journal, this is where you can highlight that work. Especially if you're going for a position that they want to see, you want to write for a newspaper or you want to write for a blog. This is a great resume for you. So when they ask you what body of work have you had, instead of like sending an email and say, this is what I've done, pull up that CV because that looks professional. That says, this is what I've done. This is where you can see my work if you want to see more of it. That CV. One of my personal favorites, other than the combination resume, is the executive bio. Because it's the brag report. That executive bio shows people in a nutshell what it is you do. So this is a little bit different than the other resumes because it's more narrative in fashion. It talks a little bit about who you are, what your highlights, your positions, highlights places they can see some of your work. It's not necessarily categorized like the other resumes. Like the chronological is categorized based on the years you worked, and the combination is based on the titles. But executive bio says this is why I'm hot, and I'm hot in all these areas. The trick to picking the right resume is to understand the position that you are applying for. So just recently, I had a conversation with a university that I taught at some years ago, and I'm negotiating with them to teach with them again. And they wanted me to send them an updated resume. I chose to send them an executive bio as opposed to my chronological resume or my combination resume, because they don't need, what they're really looking for is, why should we hire you? What have you done? As the children may say, where are your receipts? Tell me what you've done. Tell me why we should even consider you. So that executive bio is narrative in nature, and it's more conversational in tone. And again, I'm thinking about doing my workshops in about 2 weeks and breaking down each of these resumes so you can see which one best fits the position you want to be in. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, go ahead and let me know in the comments section. Because I'm thinking about doing that and just taking a day a week and going through each of them so that you all can see which best works for you and you can pull up your resume and work with me. I think that sounds great. I would love to be able to do that. So I mentioned the first two T's, which is that you have to choose your tools wisely. It has to be transformational language. But the thing I don't want you to forget is your transferable skills. A lot of times people miss out on positions because they categorize their jobs that they've had. A great question. Somebody said, how do you start a CV? What I would suggest you to do is to gather all of your writings so that you can see how you may want to categorize it, and then be very clear about what position you're applying for. So if I'm applying to write in a scholarly journal for psychology or social work, which my education is in, I'm going to make sure I highlight the writings in those types of journals or the things that are most applicable. But I want to make sure that they're able to hone in on it. Then I might have another section that says other writings, but I want them to see at the very first glance why they should even pay attention to my CV. So let's just say I was creating a CV. One of these days I'm going to be an author. Y'all encourage me and hold me accountable. So if I was writing a CV for being a life and career strategist, I would gather all of my writings about what I wrote about the training spectrum or about the training field, what I've done about coaching, how me coaching queens and coaching. I even coached a young man who was making a transition from being a firefighter to being an actor. Major career shift, but he was ready for it, and I was able to walk him through that process. So that would be important to highlight in my CV because that was transformational. He went from a firefighter to being an actor. Two completely different fields. So I got another question. Will the CV work even if you do not have the educational background, but rather the experience? Absolutely. It absolutely will. And you may also want to look into doing a combination, because combination highlights your skills. It doesn't matter what your educational background is, because a lot of jobs will hire you based on your years of experience. And sometimes people are at a disadvantage who have a lot of degrees, because the next thing they want to know is, how many years of experience do you have? So simply, Bree, I would wonder if, depending on the position you're applying for, I think based on your question, you may want to look into a combination resume, unless you've got a whole lot of writing. So you need to have both of them, the combination resume and the CV. And you might want to highlight in your cover letter that you're going to send both. So in your cover letter, that's only going to be like maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs, with paragraphs only lasting about 2 to 3 sentences, to let the reader know that you're going to include your combination resume along with your CV. Okay? You're welcome. Great question. That's a great question. Okay. So the other thing is, again, I was saying the transferable skills. When I was coaching this young man who decided to go from being a firefighter to being to being an actor, he was like, I feel like I would have to start over. He was miserable in his position, and he wanted to start over. I'm going to pause for a second. Oh, I love that question. Will it work if you take a hiatus to raise your children or something like that? Yes. A combination resume is best for you. If you've taken a hiatus from your position, combination resumes look good for you, because you're able to highlight your skills. And it doesn't matter that you've taken a gap between it, because you may have been at home, but you may have been still fine-tuning those skills. Maybe I'll take a housewife as a position, or me as an example. You are balancing the books at home. You are dealing multiple personalities, especially if you've got multiple children or multiple people living in your home. So you can put those under the skills that you're doing. So this is not, you don't have to say, okay, there was a gap for 20 years and have them ask, why was it? At least get your foot in the door for the interview. If you have a stellar highlight section, that's going to get your foot in the door, no matter how many years you've had off in that particular field. And this is why I'm thinking, we really going to have to sit down and go through the different portions of the resume. You guys are getting me so excited. Oh, yes, a special needs child. That means you coordinated events. You coordinated their appointments. You were an advocate for that child. You probably had to sit in meetings to get their services. You had to speak to multidisciplinary teams. You may have to talk to different types of doctors. I have some experience working with children who are special needs, because I am a social worker. And I know that even as a social worker, that was a lot. So I can only imagine as a parent, yes. We might need to even talk offline to kind of highlight some of the things that you've done, so that we can make sure we put that on your resume. And maybe you can be our example when we do that workshop. Absolutely. That is something that you can highlight on your combination resume. Okay. So transferable skills. Again, the young man who was a firefighter before he wanted to become an actor was just like, I feel like I'm starting all over again. He was in his mid-30s, and he was like, he told me I have a family to care for. I've gone all the way through the ranks of firefighter. He was like a chief, if I remember correctly. And he's like, but my heart and my passion is to act. And I told him, let's talk about the skills that you have as a firefighter. You have to be able to move around certain situations, adjust your responses, be able to empathize with people, be able to be authoritative with others, be able to move around different situations, from fires to interacting with family members who've lost a loved one because of the fire. You know how to show emotion. You know how to empathize. That's a transferable skill. Actors need to be able to do that. Actors need to be able to be relatable. A firefighter has to be relatable. So those are transferable skills. Do not downplay them. I will bet even now, some of you are doing the live with me, you're doing some multitasking. That's a transferable skill. The fact that you're checking out Swag Her magazine, you're keeping your finger at the pulse of what's going on in the community. That's a transferable skill. So you want to make sure that you're highlighting those transferable skills, no matter what resume you have, because what may happen is you might apply for a job and they say, you know what? based on your skills, it sounds like you're more qualified for this higher position. So don't sell yourself short. You never know. I'll share with you all an example that the current position I have, I train and I coach. I applied for the job and the position got filled before I was able to interview. And I was so devastated. But a month or two later, they said, well, you know what? We looked back over your resume and they said, I think we need to promote you higher than the position you interviewed for. Why? Because of my resume. They didn't give me a call back, but it was because of my resume that they said, based on what you have here, we're going to offer you a higher grade and a higher salary than what was offered when you originally looked at the job posting. So that's just how powerful a resume can be. Okay. So again, your 3 T's are: use the right tool. That's the first T. Use the right tool. Make sure your language is transformation oriented, not task oriented. So if you get confused, go ahead and write out all your tasks and then look at it and say, hey, what did I do well in that position? What adjectives describe the transformation that I created in that space? And then again, make sure that the transferable skills. So regardless of what position you're in, housewife, stay-at-home dad, that you are your kids' classroom leader, or even church work. Don't sell that out. If you've got some faith-based work, if you're on multiple ministries, that's transferable skills. It takes some skills to be on multiple ministries. Trust me, I know. So make sure you pull from everything to put in that resume, because that's going to get your foot in the door. Okay, so we went through a couple of different things. Your 3 T's. I shared with you the resumes that you had. And I now want to make sure, before I open up for question and answers, I want to let you all know so that everyone can chime in on this. Here it is. This week is our career convo week. This is a week to set you up to come out of that unfulfilled job, the job you hate going to, the job that's not giving you the salary you want, and moving into your dream career. Today, we're talking about resumes. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about interviews. And then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about who you need to have in your corner so that you move past the interview and into your position. We're going to talk about your executive board on Wednesday. On Thursday, we're going to talk about your superpower. What makes you unique? That's even going to make your resume look even better. When you walk into that interview, it's going to make it look even better. It's going to help your e-board to promote you into the positions you want. And on Friday, we're going to talk about the top 5 business etiquette skills. Because you'd be surprised how many people miss out on job opportunities because they don't know how to say what needs to be said. People have missed out on opportunities because they chose the wrong fork at a meal. They don't know how to introduce themselves. And I don't want that to be you. I want you to step into your dream job. So the other thing is, so that's a trailer for the rest of this week. Tomorrow's interviews. Wednesday is your dream team support team is going to get you in that position. Thursday is your superpower. I'm going to help you identify what your superpower is so you can stand out from the crowd. And then Friday is going to be your top 5 business etiquette skills. Show up every day. Tomorrow we're going to have a lunch chat. So go ahead and get your sandwich, get your salad, and get in a position where nobody can disturb you so we can have a chat over lunch. And I'm going to make sure we post all the time for the rest of the week. I want this to be a powerful week for you all. A life-changing, career-changing week for you all. Okay, let's see what else. I want to make sure that you're able to reach out to me. First, I want to thank again Swag Her Magazine for bringing this live to you all. If you all like what you heard, please let them know because they really want to make sure they bring content that's relevant to you, that's going to elevate your life. And so if this is something you like, say, hey, Swag Her Magazine, bring Jessica back. I like what she's sharing with me. Okay. And the other thing is you can follow me at Jessica Canty. You can direct message me because I see some people on here that I can't wait to talk to because I bet you're selling yourself short in your resume. And that breaks my heart. When I've had several clients before where they'll show me their resume and I say, you're selling yourself short. And I get to talking to them and then they say, Oh my goodness. You're right. I did do a lot in that job. Oh, you're so welcome. Oh, you're so welcome. I have a passion for you getting into that dream job. And you've got some skills, some amazing skills. So, follow me, message me so we can chat about what's the next steps for your dream career. I do want to open up a space where you want to ask any questions. Any questions? Oh, you do too. Awesome. If there's any questions about resumes, or if you want to, again, message me, that's perfectly fine too. But I just have a question. Was this good stuff for you guys? Is this something that you think you want us to continue in on? Let me know. Oh, I'm seeing some hearts. Awesome. Let me see. They said, let me pin my app for you guys so you can see who I am. Let's see. Okay, ladies, there I am. Ladies and gentlemen and Swag Her family, there I am. So you can definitely follow me. Don't forget to follow Swag Her magazine as well, and tell a friend, because not only will I be doing lives on career, because I am a life and career strategist, I'm also going to be doing some interviews with some other stellar people who have had success. So be on the lookout for some more videos. Okay, I don't see any. Let me see if I see any questions. I want to make sure I don't negate anybody. Nope. Oh, great question. What city am I based out of? I am on the East Coast. I am currently in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. Hi. Hello. Welcome to those who joined. For those who are just joining us, today is just day one of a 5-week series. Today we talked about resumes. Tomorrow we'll talk about interviews. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about your dream team support team. Check us out on Thursday because we're going to talk about your unique superpower, how you're stellar. And then Friday, we're going to round the week out with the top 5 business etiquette skills. So you want to make sure you clear your calendar, get your pen, get your paper, pull out that resume, so I can make sure that you get out of that unfulfilled job. Okay. And again, my handle is in the comment section for those who want to reach out to me so we can have a further conversation about how I can help you. I love coaching people out of misery. I love coaching people into their destiny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if all hearts and all minds are clear, I look forward to chatting with you all tomorrow lunchtime. If you got to make a PB&J or make a salad from home so you can make sure you're in on this call on time, you make sure you do that. And hey, bring a friend. It's great chatting with you all. I'll talk to you all soon.